everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for taking time out of the day to hang out with us and get a look at the forecast. Running a little late this morning simply because my alarm clock did not go off. And what I mean by that is my alarms did go off, but my alarm clock is my daughter, and she's not here. Wife and baby are out of town for a while, about a week and a half. So, like I said, my alarm clock didn't go off. The other ones did, but the cutest one didn't. She's not here. So, let's take a look at the forecast and a look at temperatures this morning. A lot of us are back into the 50s. Obviously, the big headline in the forecast is the storm potential for Saturday. Still talking about that. We'll obviously talk more about it and expand on more details later today and through the day tomorrow. We're still relatively early in the forecast process, so you take a look at temperatures and dew points this morning. Still not quite into what I would consider firmly into the 48-hour window, or in some instances not even in the 60-hour window according to model data, which runs a smidge behind in terms of time. So we're getting there, and once we get inside, good afternoon or good morning, Cooper. I called my nephew yesterday, and I gave him all kinds of grief because he hasn't been commenting on my videos. And there he is, first thing in the morning. Glad to hear it. Glad to see it. Whatever. So as we get a little bit closer in the next few days, or in the next, I would say for the rest of the afternoon and through the daytime hours, we'll start discussing timing, specific threats, things like that a little bit more. You really want to kind of get into that firmly inside that 72-hour window before you start kind of discussing those types of things. Not much of a breeze today. Visibility is not much of a factor except kind of at the base of the Ouachita Mountains up in Camden and over toward Magnolia. Some of those areas have run into some patchy fog, and there's some fog across central Arkansas, but most of our area faring fine. This is the new drought monitor. James, good morning. Thanks so much for hopping in. This is updated as of probably about an hour ago. It was formed yesterday, but released about an hour ago by the U.S. Drought Monitor. And while the moderate drought conditions haven't really expanded deeper into our area, you can see that the abnormally dry region has spread out across much of northern Louisiana. And that's not to be a surprise. We showed you the percent of normal rainfall over the last 30 days yesterday. I won't show it to you right now simply because we've got so much other stuff to talk about. But we need some rain. And the sooner the better. The downside to that is even with the thunderstorm potential on Saturday, I don't think it's going to be a drought-busting rain by any chance. It starts to open up the pattern to where we can get rain more frequently, and that in turn can also kind of be a drought buster. But again, in the short term, the main focus is on just storm potential and pretty limited rain totals. We'll take a look at the forecast in that regard in just a minute. Satellite radar does not show much. Futurecast kind of shows the general idea of what we can expect as we go through the next few days. General cloud cover today and tomorrow. We'll see the cloud cover increase this afternoon. A few clouds will linger tonight. Shonda, good morning. Those clouds will linger tonight and kind of sneak back in or hang around through the day on Friday. Now, as we go into the next couple of days, and here's a look at Futurecast. I've froze it about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, which is obviously when ULM kicks off. And it looks like it'll be a pretty quiet time. Now, full disclosure, this is a lower resolution image because, again, we're not in that magic like 72-hour time frame right yet. So we're using a lower resolution model to go farther out in time to kind of look into Saturday. Now, there is some concern that kind of out in this open sector ahead of the front that maybe there would be an area of supercell development, or at least a corridor where that would be a possibility going into the daytime hours on Saturday, mainly in the afternoon. But as the front advances through, this particular computer model is running slow. Slow by meaning that it's moving the storms in later and really kind of focuses them in our area during the morning hours on Sunday, and then really doesn't clear the storms out until late morning on Sunday. Now, I told you yesterday that this was a trend that was happening, and that if the trend continued, that we'd have to alter the forecast. I really haven't touched rain chances in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, and here's why. Some of the very, very, very latest data that has come in early this morning shifts that corridor back into Saturday again, specifically perhaps as early as Saturday afternoon. So while I mentioned yesterday that I wasn't necessarily overly concerned about thunderstorm potential for ULM football Saturday afternoon, it is still a possibility. It would probably be later in the game or as the game's wrapping up, things of that nature. And I'm obviously not telling anybody to not go to the game. In fact, I hope that they have a great turnout. But just keep an eye on the weather conditions as we go through the day on Saturday. There's still a lot of moving pieces, and I hope to clear some of those up this afternoon and clear them up as we go through the day tomorrow. But there's always still a certain degree of uncertainty with severe weather forecasts, especially the first one of the season. We haven't seen one in a while. Kind of interesting to see how the environment reacts, interacts, all that kind of stuff as we go through the next 48 hours. Interesting, hoping that it doesn't really pan out to be anything overly concerning. May, Gloria, and Janet, good morning. Said your daughter and husband are flying to Little Rock after their Hawaii cruise. Man, why didn't they take us with them? That sounds pretty nice right now. Check out the water vapor imagery. Shows that ridge of high pressure out over the central United States. It is starting to kind of bend and flex a little bit. We've had some lead disturbances around this deeper upper trough, kind of the lead upper disturbances that are moving through. And they're just kind of chipping away at the western ridge of that high pressure over areas like the Dakotas and the Plain States, Nebraska, Kansas. That ridge is kind of starting to erode and will give way and move east, allowing for this sweeping trough of low pressure and subsequent cold front to move through our area. So that's the driving force in the forecast. Debbie, Joy, Gloria, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Here's a look at the severe weather threat. As I mentioned yesterday, the day 4 outlook, which we were using yesterday, only just kind of shows 2 different threat levels, if you will. But as we get day 3 and inside day 3, day 1, day 2, day 3, so today, tomorrow, and the day following, that's when we start looking at marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, high-risk threat levels from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, these are human-made forecasts. They are prone to, they're not perfect. No forecast ever is. But it does give us a general idea of the best combination of severe weather ingredients going into the day on Saturday. And that's a pretty large slight risk area. It includes much of the mid-Mississippi Valley and then stretches all the way through the Red River Valley and into a good chunk of our area. Here's the exact same image, just a little bit bigger and zoomed in across our area. Everyone under some type of severe weather threat as we go through the day on Saturday. Oh, we got spammers. Spammers. I can block them, I think, from here. More spammers. I knew I had a quick climb on. Don't click on those links, obviously. If you see those pop up, most of the spam things should catch those spammers, but obviously don't call them or anything. That's so stupid. Anyway, here's a look at it. I could say that kind of stuff now. Boy, it's so fun to be able to just say whatever you're thinking. Anyway. Here's a look at the severe weather threat zoomed in. Again, the entire region under severe weather potential. In terms of hazards, it seems like all 3 hazards, wind, hail, tornadoes, are possible. I think the wind threat is probably the primary threat at this point, which is usually the case with most severe weather threats across the region. But again, as details come a little bit clearer over the next 2 days, we'll jump into those threats a little bit more. Here's a look at rain totals. Futurecast is always made possible by Bayou Power Sports I-20 Frontage Road in Monroe. And it shows with thunderstorm-driven rainfalls, and again, this is a lower resolution image. Jan, good morning. Thanks for not sending spam messages through the chat. She's like, why would I do that? I'm a normal human being. Anyway, I digress, Jan. Thanks so much for hopping in. A look at the rainfall totals. Again, this is a lower resolution image, but generally paints most of us in thunderstorm-driven rains of 1/4 inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch. Here's the official rain forecast from the Weather Prediction Center. Again, this isn't my forecast per se, but I'm going along with it because I like the way it looks, and I think it kind of represents where we have the best chance of thunderstorm-driven rains, which is across the northeastern half of the area. Hey, Stanley. And we'll look for the rain totals to be a little bit lighter or at least a little bit more scattered as you move into the southern parishes. Daytime highs today near 90. Clouds return through the afternoon. Rain chances pretty close to zero. Winds will stay light out of the east, and we expect them to stay out of the east through the daytime hours tomorrow as well. Lows tonight, mid-60s. The clouds will linger. Not quite as cool as it has been. We've been in the 50s pretty routinely, and unfortunately, with low-level moisture starting to increase ahead of this storm system, we will see a warmer morning tomorrow. Most of us should be in the low 60s. Roxanne, Jane, good morning. Thanks so much for keeping up with the forecast. Look at the 7-day, and again, I didn't really budge the rain chances for Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to wait for the late morning day to come in. That usually gets in right before I join you at midday. That stuff starts populating around 10 a.m., usually wraps up at 11:30. So we'll use that data to kind of refresh and give a facelift to the forecast as we go into the weekend. Some lingering storms possible Sunday, early next week. Kind of in flux because we're behind the front and cooler and pleasant for a couple of days, and then we warm up relatively quickly in the middle parts of next week, and we could entertain some rain chances at that point as well. Reminder, the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank, is a digital weather platform serving 33 parishes and counties across northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and western Mississippi. It is made possible 100% free to you by the local businesses that you see there on your screen. And none of this is made possible without them. You play your role by just liking, sharing, and commenting on our content on your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitch, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. And you can support our local business partners. We would appreciate you if you did that when you can, if you can. Of course, the Too Long Didn't Read hats and the Chunky Snow hats are available on the website, digitalweatherdesk.com. We'll have a look at your Too Long Didn't Read in about an hour and a half. We'll join you midday with some updated looks at the forecast. Amy and Twana and... Oh, it's Miss Sue. Hey, Miss Sue, good morning. Janine, Amy, and Leandra, thank you so much for joining in this morning as well. So, we have Sterlington football tonight as well. So we'll have a Sterlington football forecast later this afternoon. They play on a Thursday night. They're headed to Spring Hill, I believe, to face North Webster, if I remember that correctly. And then, of course, we'll obviously still get into the nitty-gritty details. I'll have a full kind of typed-out text article with pictures and everything early this afternoon as well for those that would prefer to just look at pictures and read their forecast rather than to sit here and hear me talk for 13 minutes. Expect these live streams to get more detailed and stretched out for longer periods of time as the weather gets more active. We try to keep it as quiet and as brief as possible on the boring weather days so that the active weather days we can take a little bit more of your time. Obviously, if there's any updates that need to be made between now and then, we'll let you know those as well. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com. I'll join you later today. And as always, this is the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century.